WhiskyCast. Proudly brought to you by Redbreast, the definitive single pot-still Irish whiskey. Join the Stillhouse at singlepotstill.com and receive an exclusive whiskey tasting journal.
Welcome to another episode of WhiskyCast HD. I'm Mark Gillespie, sitting in a rocking chair in Clermont, Kentucky at the start of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. This is the Jim Beam Distillery. The distillery is actually back over that way. That's Booker No. He was master distiller here for many years, until his passing a few years ago. Today, Booker's son Fred is the master distiller. Eventually, Fred's son, Booker's grandson Freddie No, might become master distiller. But that's not the reason we're here today. We're here because the Bourbon Trail has become a hot spot for whiskey lovers from all over the world. It's generating millions of dollars in new investment for Kentucky, and part of that investment is visible right behind me. See the gray building in the background? That's the new Jim Beam Visitors Center. It's unlike anything Booker No might have dreamed of.
The original Jim Beam distillery took 120 days or so to build back in 1935. It took more than 2 years to plan and build the Jim Beam American Stillhouse, which honors 7 generations of the Beam family's master distillers, and the extended Beam family spread out through distilleries around Kentucky. Part of that planning included preserving the past, weaving the new Visitors Center into the existing buildings and landscape so that it looks like it's always been there.
It's important that we don't lose sight of what we're here to do. I mean, number one thing is to make the best Kentucky bourbon, the world's greatest Kentucky bourbon that we can, okay? At the same time, we want to find ways to showcase that. So if we can intertwine those two seamlessly, it really does make for a much more exciting visit. It makes more, even our employees are excited about this. They see all this and people wanting to see what they do. It's one of the greatest businesses to be in, because how many people really go and are knocking on the door, hey, can I come in and see how you make this?
And that's what makes the American Stillhouse unique. Part of the $18 million went to build a new small-scale distillery just for tours. How small?
I'm Jim Beam No, and welcome to the American Stillhouse Mash House. You're here at the new facilities we've built at the Jim Beam Distillery for making beam bourbon 1 barrel at a time.
Jim is Fred's cousin, Booker's nephew.
Now we enter the process through a bit of history, and we look at one of the aspects of this site, Clermont, the reason why Jim Beam chose this location in 1920. You recall 1920, Prohibition had just started. Jim Beam was out of business, no longer making bourbon because it was now against the law. Well, he didn't believe in that. Not that he didn't honor the law, but he didn't think that would last. So he purchased what he knew to be one of the best limestone water sources in the state of Kentucky in this site at Clermont. If you look at where we're standing right here, we're over the top of a limestone well house. This is where we would draw the water from the groundwater supply here at Clermont, and this is what we use for mashing beam bourbon. This is why Jim Beam acquired this property way back in 1920.
Everything in the mini distillery is geared to produce a single barrel of whiskey each day, not just to show off to visitors, but also to give Beam's distillers a place to experiment.
It's always been a struggle for us, is because as we became bigger, we would have larger things. As you see on the tour, you'll see fermenters the size of 45,000 gallons. And so if we wanted to do experimental batches, we had to make a 45,000 gallon experimental batch. Yeah, now we can start to play and do a lot of the things that we've done that a lot of people don't know about, that are in the warehouses, little secrets, but now we can do it even more on a quicker, more robust. We can mess with all sorts of things. It's awesome.
Give me an idea what's in the warehouse that we don't know about.
I can't do that. It's in the warehouse. You don't know about it. We have tried to do different grains. We have done things with different yeast. We've done things at different distillations, and the innovation process is ongoing. We're working with our cooper to look at different ways to how do you age, and just a lot of the things that, a lot of distilleries are doing these things, and some make a little bit more noise about it. We've been doing it on a very under the radar level, so don't be surprised if you see some things coming out.
The gift shop may be the largest on the Bourbon Trail now, 2 floors connected by an elevator designed to resemble a column still. And there's another nod to Beam's heritage. For many years, Jim Beam was known for its unique ceramic decanters. Those disappeared from the market years ago. But now, a new American Stillhouse decanter and distillery-exclusive bottling are available only in Clermont. As for the old Visitors Center, it's now a high-tech tasting room.
We actually have it set up so we can be very flexible. We can actually do live tastings here with our distributors or retailers or even the consumers. Fred can get behind that bar, or one of our folks can get there. Or folks can come in and they'll take the tour and then they'll stop and they'll come back. And the tour guide will walk them through just kind of a quick summary of our different brands and try to identify one they may want to try. So if you're a big bourbon drinker, really looking for that, something that's over the top, strong like Booker used to drink, you'd want to try the Bookers. If you're new to the bourbon, you may want to start off with just regular Jim Beam, or you may want to try the honey tea, or you may want to actually try basil. So what they can do is they can kind of coach people. And what you see here are folks, and they can read about it, they can go around, and they can sample it. They get 2 drinks, just that's what law permits. We'd love to give you more, but obviously it makes sense that you got to be responsible. But this is a great way to control all that and then still have a lot of fun.
Let's walk through here and sort of give us the tour.
All right. So in this area, we kind of have the small batch collection. You can see Basil, Baker's, Booker's, and Knob Creek. And what's kind of fun too is we get to come in after the day. We get to see which one they're drinking the most of. So how that's going. And you can see people that are coming in, and I have to say this is one of the more popular stops on the tour now that they've got so much to do. They tend to be in here a lot. We walk up, and then we've got our great family of bourbons in the Beam brands. We've got Beam, the regular Beam in the middle. We've got Beam Black, which has got a little bit more age on it, 8 years. And then we have one of our newest products, the Devil's Cut. We're actually using the barrel and rinsing it again and keeping that water, kind of what they used to do in sweating the barrels and getting all those wood soluble and those other extra tannins, and condition that water and use that water to cut the 6-year-old Jim Beam, making a really spicy flavor that comes through. It kind of lingers on the tongue. I think it's a really good flavor bourbon. So that's that family. Here you can see one of the tour guides explaining to the folks about the different bourbons they can try. As we walk around over here, without turning my back to you, then you can see as I was mentioning, the Red Stag. And we've got the regular black cherry. We've got our honey tea, which came out earlier this year, along with the spice. It's got a cinnamon spice to it. This is one of my favorite drinks around the holidays, is drink some of that. So this is kind of what we're doing now as far as tastings at Jim Beam. It's giving us an opportunity to really interact a lot more with people, because in the past we were so busy trying to pour, and we could only usually have 1 or 2 items out. Now you get to try the ones that you like.
In the past, as many as 100,000 people would pass through the old Beam Visitors Center each year. That's expected to double or more as the distilleries along the Kentucky Bourbon Trail become more popular.
We are in the largest expansion phase since Prohibition in the bourbon industry, and these visitor centers are really a great way to give back to the community and educate people about America's only native spirit. And with the tremendous investment by Jim Beam, Four Roses, Wild Turkeys are getting ready to build a new visitor center. It just solidifies Kentucky as the one true authentic home for bourbon.
How many people are you going to have on the Bourbon Trail this year?
We're probably looking at anywhere between 500 and 600,000 visits at our distilleries this year. We're adding Town Branch Distillery in Lexington, the new all-tech one downtown, which will really boost our numbers. And we're looking at about 15,000 people actually completing the Kentucky Bourbon Trail program, breaking yet another record.
10 o'clock tour is fixing to start. If you're here for the tour, please join us in the film room.
The Bourbon Trail extends from Clermont to Lawrenceburg, where Four Roses has also opened its new visitors center. More low-key than Beam's, in keeping with the distillery's unique mission-style design. In fact, it's actually where master distiller Jim Rutledge and his staff used to have their offices, after an expansion several years ago that turned their original office space into a small gift shop.
Our number of visitors every year were just increasing dramatically. And so we built a new office building, 9,000 square foot office space. And we took this 5,000 square foot building. Once we moved into the new office space this past March, we gutted this entire building. And our objective was to capture the essence of Four Roses, just mellow, smooth, warm, welcoming. and have something different than the normal gift shops in that it's not a warehouse, it's not commercial. And it's walking in, it's like walking into a very nice resort hotel. So, wow, look at this, it's beautiful. Like I'll sit and enjoy myself and relax and stay a while.
The new Visitors Center features 2 tasting bars with enough space to, as Jim said, stay a while. The opening came just in time for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and the initial reviews were positive.
I've been to a lot of tasting rooms in California for wine, and this is nice.
Of course, there's a mission here. It's as much education as marketing, and creating new ambassadors for bourbon, like these women from Ohio.
Renee had come down last year, and she spoke so highly of it because she had her little bourbon,
bourbon passport.
And she had shown us, how you get it stamped wherever you go. She spoke highly of bourbon. I had never really tried bourbon. Nor Cindy, yes, was a whiskey
more of a Jack Daniels.
So she made it just sounded so fun. The whole festival, going on tour, the different distilleries, finding out some of the lore involved in Kentucky. Renee was like our trip planner. She planned this whole event. She planned out day to day. We're on a very tight schedule, but there is a little disclaimer that we are on vacation. So we've been doing the Bourbon Trail and doing some other sightseeing like Churchill Downs. We went to the Keeneland sale too. We stopped by that and did that. But we've just really been, this is our fifth.
And now you've become a bourbon drinker.
And I really enjoy bourbon. And to know the difference between like the small batch, the single barrel, what the aging does, how, what they do with the barrels afterwards. I mean, the tours are phenomenal. The tours are phenomenal, and having the tastings after, you really do. And as you progress in your palate starts to accommodate the taste of the bourbon, you really do taste the different flavors, whether it be the oak from the barrel, the caramel, the sweetness, the vanilla accents, the rye, the different grains, whether it's wheat, like the sweetness of the wheat, or the
robustness of the rye,
or using more. Wait, what is the other grain? Because the barley, the corn, and instead of wheat and rye, yes.
Some use wheat though.
Yeah, and that makes that sweeter type of a bourbon.
Right. So you guys have learned a lot.
We've learned a lot
in a very short time. I mean, I was not a bourbon drinker. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I've been buying bottles. I am a bourbon drinker now.
The trunk of the car's got bottles of bourbon floating all around in the back.
Full bottles, unopened. Just to clarify that.
And that means tourism revenue for all of Kentucky. The Bourbon Trail's estimated economic impact on the Bluegrass State could reach $15 million a year in 2013. And with the addition of a second trail for the state's craft distilleries, the impact could be even more over time.
It's not just Four Roses and Jim Beam that have upgraded their facilities. Maker's Mark just completed its second expansion in the last 5 years. And Wild Turkey has broken ground on an all-new visitors center. It'll open in the spring of 2013. For more Cask-Strength conversation on whiskeys, the people who make them, and with the people who drink them, join us each week for WhiskyCast. On the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, I'm Mark Gillespie.